Let's get started. We have a lot to cover today. All right. So, what I am going to do, how today is going to look, is some of you don't know who the heck I am, right? So, I'll give you a brief overview of who I am. Some of you do know who I am. So, I'll share with you that briefly. But really, what I want to do is I want to get into the nitty gritty. Okay. We're going to discuss the value of what we bring to the public and to our clients. My goal for you after today is that you are able to articulate that very clearly and show it. Okay. So we're going to go over that. I have had someone say, hey, I just don't want to know what value I bring to the buyers and why I need to do that. I want to talk about why is it important for a seller to offer cooperating compensation. So we'll talk about that too. Okay. We'll go over that briefly. I'm going to share with you the script also that I have used for almost 15 years working with buyers and getting them in for an appointment. It works every single time when qualifying. So we're going to go through a lot. All right. I will tell you, I don't love PowerPoints. Okay. I'm not a big PowerPoint presentation person. So I am going to recommend that you, if you do not have a pen and paper on hand, grab a pen and paper. This is going to be a lot of information. Okay. So I'll give you a second to go ahead and grab your pen and paper. The other part, if you are not familiar with Zoom, is down in the bottom bar you'll see reactions. On reactions, you can raise your hand. You can give a heart if someone says something. You can celebrate something if you hear it. Go ahead and feel free to use those reactions, and also feel free to use the chat. The more that we can use the chat, I'll pause. I'll make sure that I answer your questions, but that's how we're going to keep the flow going today. Good? All right. If you have anything that's come up right now already, let me know. We'll make sure we address it. Howell, Michigan. I love it. Okay. Couple things I want to say, first of all, is we do not all work on the same boards. With the same boards, we are not all in the same states. So real estate is going to be something that I'm not in the nitty gritty of every location for you. So some of you might have specific questions that I'm like, you're going to have to check with your board or your state law for that. Okay. But what I do know is that real estate as a whole, realtors as a whole, add a lot of value. And we've trained the public to not really know what that is. And I'm going to go into that. All right. So if you're wondering, how is this going to all work? We're still going to talk about the value of everyone. But what I'm not going to do today is I'm not going to get into specific law on your state. I am also not going to go through the real nitty gritty of this lawsuit. Okay? I am not an attorney. I don't claim to be an attorney. And there's a lot of unknown. But what I do know is that it's important for us to add value and start having these conversations now. All right. So that's what today is going to be about. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Brooke Pashier. I've been in the business for almost 15 years now. When I got into the business, my kids were very young. I was a single mom. My kids were 4 and 6. Now they're both grown in college. One's graduating, one's a freshman. And so life has changed a lot, right? And also in that almost 15 years, our industry has changed a lot. So we know that in this industry, we have to be flexible. We have to shift with the market. All right. The thing is that when I got into real estate, I had a college education. I had a sales background, and I had a huge why of why I wanted to be what we would consider to be successful. But I don't know about you, but back when I got started in real estate, I literally got shown a desk and they said, here you go. Here's a phone book. Call everyone you know. What do I say? What do I do? I have no idea, right? Thankfully, at that time, I ended up joining a team. And I am not a believer that you have to join a team in order to be successful as a new agent in this business. I am not for or against that. I have really no opinion. I'm of the opinion of whatever is best for you. The one thing that was gifted to me, though, as a buyer's agent on this team that I joined, was I was gifted a coach. And that coach really went through scripts with me, talked about all of like objections that we could see, all of the reasons of why I needed to get buyers in for an appointment. And I literally, as a brand new agent, had agents who were in the market for 20 plus years saying to me, how are you keeping these buyers? How are you not losing them? How do you have them under contract? What is your secret? I'm going to share that with you today. Okay. We're going to show you how to qualify and keep buyers and know that exactly who you're working with, qualified to work with you. Okay. The other thing is that I had brought in at that point so much business that I decided, okay, I'm going on my own after a while of being with this team. Went on my own and eventually ended up growing my own team. Very successful team. They did incredible. And I have always had a heart to coach, to add value. And so 4 years ago, I was certified with John Maxwell. I have always hired a professional coach myself, always, and developed and coached at a brokerage. And I still coach at that brokerage to this day. I also own Uncaged Potential Coaching with my husband, and we coach realtors and entrepreneurs throughout the nation, everywhere. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing that we've been able to do. My coaching style has changed. I have changed. I am very much a believer that as we become the version of us that we desire to be, we attract and get what it is that we want. So I'm a very much believer in being the version of you first. And the identifying as the version of you that you desire to be before it comes. Okay. So an example of that would be maybe some of you here are saying, I just would love to build a 6-figure income. Great. When I talk about identity, I say, okay, I then need to identify and show up every day as a 6-figure income before I make the 6 figures, right? How does a 6-figure income earn? Some of you are saying 7. Whatever that number is for you. And then you say, all right, do I today identify as that? When we feel contrast, the contrast usually comes in when what we desire and who we identify as are not aligned. I want the 6 figures, but I don't yet identify as a 6-figure income earner. How do we know? Do I show up as one every day? How does a 6-figure income earner dress, show up to the office, speak to their clientele, talk to their database, hold themselves professionally? Maybe it's 6 figures 10 times over. Maybe you want to make 7, whatever that is. Do I identify as her or him first? Okay. All right. Here we go. Get your pens and papers. Okay. Couple rules. Rule number 1, be what you want to receive. Be first what you want to receive. Okay. If you want to be valued as a real estate agent, as a professional, give value. If you want to be valued, give value. I'm going to go a step further. If you want to be valued and receive a 6-figure, 7-figure income earner, give 10 times more. If you want to be a six-figure income earner, give $1 million in value. Okay. I don't want you to worry about, oh, if I share what I do, or if I put it on social media, what I do, or I send an email to my database, or I create a newsletter and I give value, all of a sudden I'm not going to be needed. Oh, no, no. Give so much value that they can't help but want to be in your energy, that they can't help but want to come back for more. Give value. Okay. Rule number 2, stay professional no matter what. No matter what. Stay professional, keep it classy, no matter what. In this industry, we might have people that want to, get out of contract. Stay professional. You might have to deliver bad news every now and then and things that you don't agree with. Stay professional. Keep the emotion out of it. Our jobs as realtors is to keep things calm. I always say 40% of our business is counseling or therapy. Some of you know what I'm talking about with our clients, right? Because it's an emotional thing with them moving. It's always an emotional thing. Happy, sad, don't want it. They've got to make decisions that they don't want to. Sometimes it's really great, sometimes it's not, but it's a highly emotional thing, and they're trusting you with that. Your job is to keep the emotions in check. Okay? Your other job is to educate. We want to make sure that we're educating. Okay. So I would say about 40% of it is counseling or therapy. The other 40% of it is educating. And then you've got about that 20% that's actually helping them buy and sell and negotiate on their behalf. Okay. The other rule number 3 is be adaptable. Those of you that have been in this market long enough know that the market shifts. Everything is always changing. What we're facing right now is just another one of those, and that's totally okay. It's totally okay. All right. Okay. 50 ways a realtor elevates the industry and gives value to buyers. I'm going to go into really great detail on some of these. Okay. Some of them are self-explanatory. If I look up like on NAR or on different websites and stuff like that, you can find like 100 and I don't know, 89 ways or something like that that a buyer or an agent brings value. I'm going to talk about 50 of them. As I go down the list though, don't get worried. I'm not going to like stay on each of them all. Not all of them are created equal to me. Okay. What I want you to walk away with though is have a clear understanding of, how do I set the appointment? What am I saying in the appointment? How am I showing and creating value to my client and articulating that? And how do I continue to do so, not only throughout the transaction, but as their forever agent, as someone that they think of every time someone mentions a real estate agent, they are in need of someone. Every time someone wants to be connected to the community, and every time someone needs a referral for something, how do we show them that that's us? Okay. So the first thing that we have to discuss is, before we even get into the buyer consultation, how do we get people into our office to have a meeting with them? Anybody thinking like, oh my gosh, I have just met people at the house. I have no idea. Like, we're supposed to set meetings. We're supposed to talk about agency. We're supposed to do a consultation. Yes. Yes. I want you to think about these scenarios for a second. Okay. Because some of us are really nervous about what's going on. And I want you to understand a couple of things. The first thing I want you to understand is that we cannot assume that the public already knows who pays compensation and what this looks like. We are under the assumption when we get freaked out about what's going on with the NAR settlement that everybody just knows that it's been, custom for a seller to pay a buyer agent commission. That is not true. The general public does not typically know who pays the commission. In fact, think about some scenarios of what you have said to maybe a buyer before. I work for free for you. Sellers pay me. No, they don't. A buyer has always paid your commission. It's just been wrapped up in a mortgage. Comes down to what a seller will net every single time. Okay. So we have trained the public. We have absolutely trained the public. Call me, I'll open a door for you. Don't worry, you don't have to pay for me. Yes. Some of us get paid really well. If you're charging 3% on a side and you sell a $300,000 home, that could be a $9,000 commission. Did setting up a search on the MLS and opening a door justify a $9,000 commission? What are we really afraid of here? No. I told you in the beginning of this, my kids were 4 and 6 when I started in real estate, right? My daughter had been on so many showings and so many open houses with me that at that age, she could have easily opened up a locked box, unlocked a door, and shown a house. We have to think above and beyond that. What are we bringing to the table? We are not door openers. We are professionals. I'm going to say that again. We are not door openers. We are professionals. So when I just talk about, it's really interesting because when I coach new agents, I always say, okay, what's the goal? And for some reason, the first goal of new agents is I want to make 6 figures. I don't know. Maybe that's where I live. Some of you, like if you're in California or other markets, you're like, yeah, that would not go far here, right? I don't know. Or maybe other markets, you're like, wow, that's a really good living as a real estate agent. I don't know. But here, they're always just, I want to make 6 figures. Great. We don't have to have a degree to do this. We didn't go to college for 8 years. Or 4, like some of us did, but whatever, right? But really, if we run this as the professionals that we are, let me ask, do we have the ability to make the same kind of income as a doctor? Do we have this ability to make the same kind of income as an attorney? If we run our business as professionals, we 100% do. If I called a doctor, I just called the office and I said, you don't know me, but I need the doctor to write me a prescription. Send it to this pharmacy. Are they going to do that? No. What they're going to do is they're going to say, interesting. Okay. You have a problem. We need to set an appointment, do a consultation. We need to see your insurance or know how we're going to get compensated for the appointment. Then we're going to see if you qualify after we've had a conversation. And then we'll make sure that we can write the prescription should you end up being a patient that prescription would work for. Had to make a phone call, had a problem. We have to know how we're getting paid. We have to see if they're qualified, and then we decide. Same thing if I were to call an attorney today. You don't know me, but I need you in court tomorrow. I have a problem. Is there an attorney that's going to show up to court for me tomorrow? No. That attorney is going to say, I need you to make an appointment. I need to see how I'm going to be compensated for my work. I either need a retainer fee or I need something else. Then I'm going to do a consultation, see if you qualify for me to work on your behalf. And should we decide to work together, then maybe I will be at court. We have the same ability to do the same things as doctors, attorneys, make the same kind of income, carry ourselves as professionals. And the only reason that we are not at this point is because we have trained the public otherwise. I am not afraid of this lawsuit. In fact, I love it for two reasons. The public will know how we get compensated. They no longer will assume that you get a biweekly paycheck. That's a good thing. It is also forcing us to be professionals. Forcing us to be professionals. Okay. All right. So before we even set the appointment, before we even have the consultation, before I even get into the 50 ways a buyer agent serves a home buyer when they purchase a home, we have to know how to get them in. We have to know how to schedule the appointment. Okay. This is where I want you to get your pens and papers out. Some of you have been writing. I see that. So that's great. If you're not muted, go ahead and mute yourself and put your questions in the chat. All right. So we have someone that will call us. We're either working with our sphere of influence. We get a referral from our sphere of influence. We have we get a sign call. We get a call on our website. However that lead comes in, maybe you're on floor. I don't know why my printer is going off. I apologize if you can hear that background noise. However that lead comes, we always qualify them. Okay. It's a very simple script. First of all, they're going to either call and say, I want to see this house, 123 Main, or I want you to help me look for a home in this area. All right. So the first thing I'm going to ask them is, what location are you most interested in? Okay. What location are you most interested? LP. What price point are you most comfortable with? LP. Then I'm going to ask them, what is your motivation? How do I ask that? I ask, what's your motivation by asking out of curiosity, do you currently rent or do you own your home? This is how I find out their time frame. I rent. Great. Are you in a month-to-month lease or are you able to get out of your lease early? Or when is your lease up? If they own, out of curiosity, do you need to sell that house before you purchase? I'm finding out the motivation and what their time frame is. Okay. Then I'm asking the first A, LP, M, motivation. Then it's A, agent. Do you work with another realtor right now? How have you been seeing the inside of homes? Are you going to open houses? Have you written any contracts? Have you written any offers? Are you working with an agent right now? And then I want to ask them the second M. Will you be paying cash for this, or will you need to obtain a mortgage? If they need to obtain a mortgage, I will ask them if they would like some referrals to my professional lenders. Okay. Then, depending on where they are in the timeline, if they are 0 to 90 days of being able to purchase a home, I'm asking for the appointment. That's the second A, appointment. If they are longer than that, I am asking them for permission to follow up with them appropriately. So if somebody says, actually, I just wanted to see the inside of the house, but now I'm made aware that I'm really probably not going to be ready to purchase for another year, I'm saying, that's fantastic. I'm so glad that we've helped you discover that. Would it be okay if I called you once a month to see if anything has changed on your part and to update you on the market? And then I am scheduling those calls appropriately. If they're within the 6 months, 90 days to 6 months, I'm saying, would it be okay if I just followed up with you twice a month to see if anything's changed and to update you on the market here? So anything a year or more, once a month, that's my follow up. Anything from like 90 days to that year, 2 times a month. And if it's within the 3 months, I am asking for the appointment. And the way I ask for the appointment is based off the information that you have given me. Here's what I recommend we do. I want you to write this down. Professionals make recommendations. Professionals make recommendations. They are looking to you for guidance. They want to hear from you. Based off what you have told me, this is my recommendation. Let's go ahead and schedule an appointment for you and I to meet. During that time, I would love to find out everything it is that you're looking for in a home. At that time, I'll also share with you what I do on how I can relieve any stress and make your life very easy throughout this process. And here's the key. And should we decide to work together, we will be able to look at some homes after. Should we decide to work together? Now, I'm not saying I'm going to have you come in, you're going to sign a contract. I'm saying I'm going to find out what you're looking for. I'm going to let you know what I do. And if we both agree, we'll go look at homes. Okay. Now, a lot of buyers will go, well, okay, no problem. Some buyers might say, what do you mean? Why wouldn't you want to work with me? Right? But this is what I want us to understand. Need energy is really unsexy. Right? Like, I'm good with it or without it. I have enough clients. It's okay. I'm going to qualify you just as much as you're going to qualify me. Like, you don't tell someone on a first date, I love you. That would scare the heck out of you and you would run. You're going to dance a little. I'm qualifying you as much as you're qualifying me. I have enough people that want to work with me. I have a beautiful business. I need to see if I want to work with you. And then I'm going to say I have this date or this date available. What's best? You don't ever say, not that busy. How about, I don't know, I'm open all day tomorrow. How about right now? Never. Oh, I'm free anytime. I'm available 24/7. Just call me anytime and I'll pick it up. No. Would any other professional ever say that? No. Right? I have this time or this time available. What's best for you? If you're a real professional and you really are running your business like a business, you have time in your calendar open for appointments because you are time blocked. You're running it like a business. Okay. All right. LP Mama. I always have my agents, I just say, right, cross off LP Mama and put money maker because I'm telling you this script works. Why does it work every time? It works every time. I'm saying it works every time. Do I set an appointment every time? No. Why? Because they might not be qualified to work with me. Well, can't you just show me the house? No. If you're not willing to set an appointment with me and allow me to show you my value and me qualify you to see if we're a good match, you're not qualified to work with me. Oh, I'm going to get a pre-approval or worry about funds after I see the house. No, I'm not asking a seller to get their house ready, move themselves, the kids, the dogs out for a couple hours for me to give feedback that says, oh, by the way, I have no idea whether or not my buyer is even qualified to purchase it because I don't have proof of funds or a qualification letter. Right? It works every time. Doesn't mean I set appointments every time. But I always know if they're qualified to work with me before I meet with them. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. A lot of people would just go show homes because we're working on a fear of loss. Guys, don't work from fear here. Well, I'm just going to go show this house. I'm just going to show this house. That's what happened. And when I didn't even realize in the beginning of my career when agents were saying to me, like, how are you keeping these people? I'm like, how are you losing them? Well, I go and I meet them at a house and then I'm like chasing them and I never hear back from them. I'm like, I didn't know how to show a house without a meeting first. I had no idea. Like, what? You can do that? Why would you do that? Right? A lot of us have done that. A lot of us have gone, I'll meet you at the house. I didn't properly qualify you. I didn't get you under buyer agency. I don't know all of your information. And then I'm chasing you, wondering why you're not buying a home with me. Because they're on to calling the next agent. They're gone. You got to get them right away. Got to show your value right away. Okay. In fact, with the new law settlement, come July, you're not going to be able to show homes to people without a contract signed. Period. Can't do it. Okay. All right. If you have questions on that script, let me know. Put it in the chat. Let me know. LP Mama is location. What location are you most interested in? Price, motivation, agent, mortgage, appointment. Location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, appointment. Okay. And the key question and the key thing on the appointment is, should we decide to work together? Then we can view homes.
Can you say it one more time, please?
Absolutely. L, location. LP, price, location, price. M is motivation. You currently rent or do you own? A is agent. Are you currently working with an agent? How have you been seeing the inside of homes at this point? M is mortgage. I never assume a mortgage. I'm just going to say that right now. I always say out of curiosity, will you be paying cash or will you be obtaining a mortgage? and then appointments. And I set the appointment with those who are ready within the next 90 days. If they are not, I follow up appropriately. Okay. Helpful? LP Mama. The key in there is that you want to make sure you get those questions answered, because you don't ever want to bring someone into the office that's under agency with another agent. That wouldn't be good. L is location. Location. LP, location, price, motivation. Good. All right. Now that we've got the appointment set, what I want to do is I want to go over, I want to get them in that appointment mentally in their new home. Okay. Mentally already moved in. So I am not going to talk about my value from the beginning. I'm going to get them mentally there. Tell me everything you want. From what you've talked to me about on the phone, we're looking at this location. Great. What is it about that location that you need to be, why you need to be there? It's close to work. Fantastic. How many minutes or miles are you willing to travel from work? I want to be in the city limits. Great. Why do you want to be in the city limits? I want to be next to the trails. I want to be in the active community. I want to be there. Or I need to be in the school systems. Fantastic. I want to get real honed in on what they want. I want to get into specifics. So ways buyer agent brings, serves buyers. Number one, they describe the wants and needs of what they're looking for in a home. Describe the wants and needs of what they want in a home. Okay. I'm taking note. I will take note so much that when someone says to me, I need 3 bedrooms in an office, I am saying to them, tell me what that means to you. Do you need a specific office space, or would a 4th bedroom be acceptable? Would a basement area be acceptable? I'm going into it. What are your wants and needs as a buyer? Okay. I also describe it to them like this. And by the way, number 1 is one of the ones I'm going into great detail on. I'm not going into great detail on all of them, but there are some that I am. This is one of them. I want to know if I say, do you need a garage? Yeah, I need a garage. Great. Does it need to be attached? Yes. How many stalls? It has to be at least 2. So time out. What you're telling me is that if it's a perfect house and it does not have at least a 2-stall garage that is attached, it does not fit your criteria. Correct. Great. Oh, no. If it fits everything else, then I want to see it. It doesn't have to be attached. Okay. Now I know. That makes sense? Do I need to have a primary suite? Yes. Okay. What does that look like to you, right? What's updated mean to you? What's the criteria? The reason I am going into that much detail is because I want to keep them off anything that I'm not sending to them. I want to get them mentally moved in. I want them to know I'm listening. I want to make sure that everything I bring them into is 100% already fitting their criteria. The only thing that they have to do when they walk into a home is see how it feels. Does it feel like home? I know it fits their criteria. This eliminates like a wild goose hunt of you showing 40, 50 homes and not having any idea of what they're looking for and why you're running around like crazy. You're also getting them mentally moved in. You're also able then to see and show them homes that have sold recently or that are on the market that fit that criteria and how many days on market they were. Does it look like they went over list price? Were they over or were they under? You're really going to be able to educate them on the market from exactly what it is that they're looking at. All right. So you're going to get them mentally moved in. All right. Like I kind of think of it like this. I'm going to give this example and then I'm going to look at the chat. Anyone ever go on like a date? Yeah, like we've all been on a date, right? Maybe, I don't know. But like we can have a list of all the things that are like absolutes, right? Like these are the must-haves in a partner. And then you're not going to go on a date with anybody that doesn't hit those absolutes. Now, you might have some like other things that's like, oh, it would be really nice. Like if you had, I don't know, good looks, money, adventurous, whatever, I don't know, right? But like if you're one of your absolutes is a non-smoker, and that's a deal breaker for you, you're not going to go on a date with someone who smokes. Do you know what I mean? But you can also sit across from someone on a first date and they can hit every single mark. On paper, it's perfect. And you sit across from them and there is no chemistry. And you're like, I can't pinpoint it. It's just not right. That's what I want for my clients. I want them to have every must have checked off already. And all they have to do when they walk into the home is say, it feels right or it doesn't. Feels right or it doesn't. Okay. Let me look. Unless they lie about it. Yeah. Well, that's another thing too, right? So thankfully we have a lot of information that we can do and see if they're lying or all the things to make sure that we can do our homework and make sure that they're getting into the homes. But that's funny about the dating thing. Yeah. And lying would be a deal breaker for me. So I catch you in a lie, we're probably going to be done, right? For comparison, what market are you in? I am in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The L again, I saw that one location. Josh got that. Okay, great. Perfect. Unless they lie about it. That's hilarious. Did I get everything? Making sure. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to close that. All right. Number one, go into great detail. You're going to get a list of exactly what they want. And the benefit of working with you is they aren't going on a wild goose hunt. They are only seeing homes that fit all their criteria because you have done the consultation. We're getting them mentally there before we even go into what it is that we do. All right. Then what we're going to do is we really want to go into buyer agency disclosure or agency disclosure. Now, for those of you that don't know this, we're supposed to have them sign an agency disclosure before they look at homes anyway. We have to let them know what our fiduciary responsibilities are to them. Okay, so if you don't in your market have, you should have an agency disclosure form. They might look different, but it is very important for you to let them know what your responsibilities as an agent is. A buyer's agent, a listing agent, a dual agent. They have to know that if they go directly to a listing agent, the listing agent works for the seller. The listing agent works for the seller. What's a dual agent? What's a buyer agent? What's the fiduciary responsibility? Okay, so that's number two. You're going to explain agency to them. You're also going to explain the buyer agency contract and buyer agent compensation. And let them know. Now, when you go into how you're compensated, you're also going to explain to them what you do for that compensation. I'm going to give you a list of a lot of them. What you're going to do once we get into the home search and the offer and the contract. But something I really want you to make note of and understand, and I'm going to go into this, is that a really great buyer's agent does not wait for someone else to find them a home that fits their criteria and put it on the MLS. A really great agent is going to find them the home regardless if it's listed on the MLS or not. We're going to show them how we earn our compensation. Now, I don't know about those of you that have looked for off-market properties before or sold a for sale by owner or did the things to make sure that you were finding any type of home for your buyer. But if you do a very thorough consultation, you know exactly what they're looking for. Depending on your market, there might be sellers out there that were like, I would love to sell, but inventory is really low. I don't know where I would go, or I have home projects that I don't want to get ready to do, or it's just not whatever the reason. But if you find someone who is in that area and you're like, oh gosh, I actually have thought about selling, but this is why I haven't, we can alleviate that problem. So if we have already always told buyers, oh, don't worry about it, the seller pays my compensation, you don't have to worry about it. Ask yourself, am I waiting for someone else to find the inventory and put it on the MLS for them? Or am I actively looking for a home regardless? Something to think about. Something to think about. Okay. So we're also going to then, after we've reviewed the contract, review buyer qualifications and their budget. All right. Review their qualifications and their budget. You're going to look at comparables with them of what it is that they're looking for. It is very important. Remember how I told you before, 40% of our job is educating the buyers and sellers, the public, of what we do. This is your consultation is very rarely, unless you have a very difficult like family situation or something like that, the consultation that you do is very rarely the counseling or therapy that you'll do. The consultation is going to be your education. Do the upfront work first. Because if you just say, okay, and you go through the checklist and you're not educating them on whether or not their criteria fits their budget, who's going to be the bad guy when they find out that it doesn't? Who are they going to blame when nothing is in their budget that fits their criteria? We got to show them the data. We have to educate them. Okay. Review their qualifications, their budget, their location, where they want to be, what it is that they're looking for, and show them the data. This is a huge perk of having you. Show them the information that you have that they don't. Now, a lot of stuff is online right now, but what you're going to do is you're going to interpret it. Okay. You're also then number 6 is you're going to connect them with lender options if they need them. Okay. I do not set an appointment or meet them in person until I know that they are pre-approved or have proof of funds, simply because that's the first step in the home buying process. Bridget, I see you. Totally understand. That's fine, you guys. You have to go. I will make sure that you get the recording, Bridget. Okay. All right. So then what you're going to do.
By chance, is there a PowerPoint that has these all 50 on here?
No.
So we just have to go back and, okay. Will you go through them really, really quickly at the end in case we miss one?
Yes, if I have time. Depending on the Q&A.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
but I'll make sure you get the recording.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So then you're going to establish a home search for them. Okay, you're going to show them how to you're going to establish the home search for them. All right. Once you have their profile, everything, If you agree to work together after this point, you're going to then make sure if you are explaining agency disclosure correctly, they should be asking you, how do I get you to work for me? There should be so much value in what you're showing them that they should be saying, how do I get this? And then that's where we bring out the buyer agency contract and we have them sign it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to work. We're not just going to put together a search for them on the MLS. Number 8, we're actually going to advertise the buyer specific needs. And by that, I mean, yes, do we advertise it and put what our buyer's needs are to our database? Absolutely. If you know of anyone looking to sell in this area with this criteria, social media, yep. But also what we're going to do is you can choose to circle prospect if you love making cold calls. Circle prospecting is taking a neighborhood and calling and seeing if anyone in the neighborhood is looking to buy or sell and build a rapport. You can door knock. Same thing. What specific neighborhood do you want to be in? You can send letters to the neighborhood. I have a buyer looking for a home in your neighborhood. They're pre-approved, ready to go. They can be very flexible on the time frame. They're not afraid of projects, whatever that is of your buyer. Okay. You're going to prospect for off-market properties for them. You're going to network with other agents. Hey, I know you work in this area. Do you have anything coming up? Do you know of anything? Okay. We're going to look for off-market properties. Okay. We're going to identify and share all of the potential properties with our buyers. Then what we're going to do is we're going to coordinate the showings. We might be finding it on the MLS. We might be finding it off market. We might be doing whatever, but we're going to coordinate the showings. By the way, when you're talking to your buyers, I want you to make sure that they understand the value of you doing this. If a buyer is out there calling listing agents and working on 5 different listing agents times, that typically means that they will probably have to go out several times in order to see a house. It's a huge, huge time saver. By the way, like, can you imagine the calls that listing agents are getting, which we all know, right? If they're working with you and you're coordinating all the showings, they can see them boom, 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 typically about 5 houses in a couple hours, and they're ready to make a decision. If they do not have you to do that for them, they are out working tirelessly on their own time, coordinating schedules with 5 other people, trying to figure out how they're going to get into the house. They're all over the place. It's a wild goose hunt. This is a big perk for you to be able to do that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to show them the homes. That's number 11, show them the homes and offer guidance based on their profile. All right. So what does that mean? I know this home works for you. I know it fits all your criteria. The question is, does it feel like home? Is it right? And this is how I do that. We have a very complicated system. It's called the ABC. Okay. So anyone ever go show a home and you go show it, you're in there for an hour. They're looking at like the age of the furnace. They're looking at like, does my furniture fit here? All the things. You get them back in the car and you go, well, what did you think? And they go, oh no, we knew the minute that we pulled in, we were never going to see it, or that we were never going to buy it. Not the one. Don't like the park in the back. And you're like, what? Like, why did we just spend an hour in that house? If you don't know what I'm talking about, like, good for you, because like, whoa, this actually came up with my coach because I was so frustrated. We're showing so many homes. By the way, like back in like 2010, 11, inventory was way, way, way different than it is today. But what I'm saying is we have to have a system of being able to get people in and out of homes. And so I always say my system is ABC. Okay. In A, we love the home. It fits everything. It feels like home. we write offers on A's. B's, on the fence. Okay, well, what are we on the fence about? And is the what, maybe you don't like the paint color. Okay, that's an easy fix. We can change that. But if it's something we can't fix, then we might be moving that down the line. A C is we pulled up, was not what we expected. Thank you, no thank you. Leave a card, turn the lights off, walk out the door, you're done. All right. Show your buyers the importance of staying and looking at homes that they love, that are A's. Those are the ones we stay in. Buyers do not owe sellers anything. They do not need to stay in a home just to look at it and get the, so the seller feels like what they did was worth it. A, B, C. So what I'll do is I'll walk in and I'll let them know, okay, we're gonna tour the house. Once we've had a glance of the house and we've seen everything, we're going to get back together here real quick. And I'm going to say, is it an A, B, or C? If it's a C, we're out. If it's an A, that's when we start to really look at it. When we really start to go through and we have the disclosures and we're seeing, what we're looking at. That's when I'm talking to the other agent and seeing what's important to the seller and are there any other offers and all the things that we need to do. Okay. Now, I'm going to then pull previously sold comparable homes of the A's, and I'm going to evaluate the value, and I'm going to let them know my recommendation based off what I see. I am going, because basically, let's face it, a seller can list a home for anything they want. As agents, it's our job to make sure that it is priced correctly. So we're going to give our recommendations based off of that. Now, here's the key. We need to show them our value through the entire process. What I see a lot of agents do is they will do the consultation, they'll show a couple homes, and then they won't call their clients. They'll wait for their clients to call them and say, I want to see this house and we'll schedule it. What if every Friday was follow-up Friday? Okay, a lot of you know this practice with sellers. Implement it with your buyers. Every Friday is follow-up Friday. So every buyer I have under contract with me, whether they have a pending sale or not, whether they're in escrow or not, they're going to hear from me. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer or whoever, wanted to call and just follow up with you. And this is how I show my value. Everything I told you I was going to do in our consultation, I'm going to reiterate and tell you what I did. I sent out 100 letters to this neighborhood that you asked about. I got 2 phone calls. One of them might be interested in showing. I door knocked these 30 homes. I networked with these agents. I'm not waiting for them to call me and say, hey, I found a house on the MLS. I want to go see it. I'm being proactive. I'm letting them know in my consultation. You will hear from me every Friday, regardless. And every Friday, I will show you I will tell you what I have done. Find you a home, even if it's not on the MLS. Chances are they will probably still buy a home that is offered on the MLS, but not all the time. If you're out there actively looking for a home, you will be able to find them an off-market home. You'll work on your own numbers, but for me, my numbers are for every 100, I get 2 interested. I don't know why. It goes for door knocking, it goes for letters, it goes for circle prospecting. You'll know your numbers. For me, that's just it. I know on average for every 100 letters I send out, I'll get 2 phone calls. For every 100 doors I knock on, I get 2 interested. I don't know why. It's just the way the numbers worked for me. Those are my averages. Obviously, better days than others. Okay. But you're going to want to implement follow-up Friday. Let them know what you did to earn their compensation, to earn your compensation. Now think about this. When buyers and sellers are talking, what are they doing? Especially if they're in the market. All they're doing is talking about their experience in the market. Hey, how's it going? Oh my God, we haven't seen anything in 2 weeks. There's nothing out there. My agent just keeps telling us, just wait. Inventory is really low. The right one's going to pop up. Oh, da 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 da. No. And then that's one person. The next person says, interesting. Your agent's not out there looking for off market properties for you? Your agent doesn't call you every Friday and tell you what they've been doing? Huh, my agent's really working for me. You're going to get more referrals when they're actually in the process, in the market, than any other time because it's a topic of conversation for them. That's what they're talking about. If you've ever worked with anyone in your family and Christmas dinner comes up, it's like, I don't want to go because all they're going to want to talk about is their house search or what's going on in there. And I don't want to work during Christmas. I want to enjoy it, right? If you ever do this, like you work with family and then you're with them, it's the only thing that's going to be talked about. Why? Because when people are in the market, it's top of mind and they're talking about it constantly. Let them talk about you, not the market. Does it matter if you didn't find them anything off market, but you're calling them every Friday and saying, this is what I did in attempt to find it? They will stay with you. They will stay with you. All right. 13. So I have found them their home. Done my consultation. We've gone and looked at homes. We've identified the A's. We've identified how it's priced. We've identified everything that we need. Now, number 13, I'm going to contact the listing agent on behalf of the buyer. And I'm going to discover anything that's important to the seller before I draft up the offer. This is twofold. One reason is I want to find out what's most important to the seller. It is not always the highest price. Sometimes they want occupancy after closing. Sometimes there's different things. They want to reserve something. They want to do. I'm going to find out from the listing agent what's most important to your seller. The reason I am absolutely making a phone call and not just sending a text, not just sending an email, is because I also want to build a rapport with this agent. It's crucial. You guys, building rapport with other agents it's just as important as building rapport in your community. You have to know that. Don't be the jerk agent that walks in with your head up and you're like ready for a fight to negotiate right away. I got news for you. That's how I can tell a rookie agent every time. Play nice. Play nice. It will get you so much further. And not just before you're under contract with them, through the whole thing, even negotiating. Play nice. Build a rapport. I can tell you as a listing agent, if I have 2 offers, apples for apples, and I have done several deals with a different agent, and I can confidently say to my seller, this agent is great to work with. They qualify their buyers. They're fair. They understand the market. Every time I've worked with them, it's been a smooth transaction to the closing table. I can confidently say this one's going to get there the easiest. That one is going to be taken from the seller every time. Okay. Be kind. Kind. We can negotiate with kindness. Okay. Okay. 14, contact the seller's agent to share. You're also going to share all the buyer's qualifications. You're going to let them know about your buyer's qualifications. Okay. We're not going to be like, oh, well, they've missed 10 houses or she's a single mom, or, oh, they're buying for the grandparents, and oh, it's so sad. Keep it professional. Don't disclose information about your buyers that they wouldn't want you to share. We don't need to make up the sob story. The sellers just want the best offer. Okay. Obtain and review any homeowner association documents with the buyer. Okay, so homeowners associations and stuff like that. Anyone ever see like bylaws or like, whoa, like they're like this thick, all legal mumbo jumbo stuff? You hand it to your buyers. That is not a value add. At least know how to go through them. And know if there is a homeowners association or a lake association or something. Know what at that point is important to your buyers. All right. Animals. Yeah, dogs are allowed. Great. Up to what weight? Are there any breeds that are not allowed? How many can they have? Okay. The association dues are this much. Fantastic. I need to see a copy of the financials. Why? Well, what's included? Oh, I don't want my buyer to walk into $100 a month association fee and all of them need new roofs and the financials have not been set up for that. And all of a sudden next year, their association fees are doubled because I didn't pay attention to what the financials look like and talk to my client about it. They're looking to us for guidance. Okay. So understand at least how to look. I don't go through association docs with my clients word for word, but because I do such a thorough buyer consultation, I know what's important to them. So I will go and I will say, I want you to pay attention specifically to this. Or I asked for the financials and I had a conversation and this is what's going to happen here. I'm not going to rely on a listing agent to give me all this information. Why? The listing agent has a fiduciary responsibility to the seller, not my buyer, my responsibility. Okay. So we're going to obtain all of the homeowner association docs with them. 16, review all elements of the purchase agreement. This is another thing that I want you to know inside and out. It's kind of interesting to me because I will hear agents say, oh, well, the value of that we give to our buyers is all the paperwork. Yeah. But if that was the only value, they would just hire an attorney. Like they don't, and pay someone $500 to do that. Like big deal. But it is expected that you are an expert on your purchase agreement. All of them are different. Every board is different. Some of them are, 6 pages long. Some of them are 30 pages long. Some of us work in attorney states. Some of us don't. It's going to be different. Now, some of you don't negotiate in your states because you're an attorney state as well. Still know the contract. Okay. Know it inside and out, like inside and out. According to this page, this page number, this number on here, I want to go through and I want to explain the inspection contingency to you. I want to talk about title commitment and how many days we have to see that. I want to see if we were to write an addendum, what that's going to look like. I am not sending over a document for a client to sign with a lot of legal mumbo jumbo in there until I go through it with them thoroughly. Do not do that. Please do not do that. Be the professional that you are. Don't ever send over a document via .loop to get signed without them knowing what they're signing. Ever. If you can't meet them in person, do Zoom. If you can't do Zoom, go send it to them in an email, pick up the phone and go through it with them then. If you can't do that, send them an email with everything written. In fact, I recommend even sending an email before you send a .loop every time to confirm they know and understand the conversation that you had, and then they sign. Does that make sense? This is what we talked about. Here's an email confirming, everything we talked about. If you agree, here's the document. You're saving yourself a lot of headache when you do that. All right. 17, explain how each of the elements affect your offer of the purchase agreement. You're going to go through this. And if you're in a market that still has a lot of multiple offers, you're going to explain what some other buyers might do in order to win that offer. Again, you are educating. You're educating. Okay. If you're in multiple offers, you're going to let the seller know what could be, or the buyer, you're going to let the buyer know what could be more attractive to a seller. Okay, so that's 18. You're also going to want to ask, some of you, like if you're in multiple offers, you're going to want to ask the listing agent if escalation clauses are acceptable. I would not send over an escalation clause unless you knew that it was acceptable and that the seller or the listing agent knew how to read them. You'll be surprised. A lot of listing agents do not know how to present an escalation clause. If you aren't sure what an escalation clause is, I'm going to encourage you to talk to your broker. But that's just where we would put the price up to a certain number and be willing to pay so much over the next best offer. So if you're not sure what that is, I would ask your broker. They might actually not even be something that your state does or your board. So something to ask about. 19, review the seller's disclosure with your buyers too, please. Don't just send it over to them. Review it with them. Let them know what each line item means for them. Okay. 20, deliver and explain any counteroffer that they might get. They're going to talk about whether or not they're going to accept it or counter or do something else. Negotiate any counteroffers or amendments on the buyer's behalf. So you're going to negotiate on the buyer's behalf. Let me say that again. On the buyer's behalf. The trick is to remain neutral when you're negotiating. When I say do that, why would they even ask for this? Da 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 da. Ooh. Thank you for your counteroffer. I appreciate it. After speaking with my buyers, this is what they would like to do. See the difference? Remain professional. Okay. Now, a lot of times, well, I'll get into that with home inspections, but you're going to negotiate counteroffers. Deliver copies of everything. Please don't assume that just because you sent it over electronically that they have it. Send them over a PDF of it or hand deliver it of the signed purchase agreement. 23, number 23 is you're going to get the earnest money deposit and put that into escrow. By the way, please explain earnest money deposit in the buyer consultation and not when you're writing an offer. If you do not have a buyer presentation, I highly encourage you to have one. And what I recommend having in the buyer consultation, in that presentation, is a step-by-step of what the buyer can expect throughout the process. And then you're also going to want to highlight any expenses that they could be responsible for. Don't just assume that because they went over and got a preliminary statement from their lender that they understand. You want to go through the step-by-step with them. If you're like, what do I put in my buyer presentation? Step-by-step. What can they expect? Also, you're going to want to put in your value proposition. What value do you bring? Coaching clients and we talk about value propositions and we go through them thoroughly. Okay. What value do you bring? What are you going to do? But have something that they can take with them. And you do not want to have them be surprised throughout anything. I have to pay for an inspection. I have to come up with an earnest money deposit. Wait a minute, the appraisal? Hold on. What's this? go through it with them. All right. So get their earnest money deposit. Then what you're going to do is you're going to send any number 24 and 25. You're going to send all purchase agreement, all of the addendums, everything that's needed to the lender and to title. That's 24 and 25. Okay. Send it all unless you have a transaction coordinator, which many of us do, but that's going to be the next step. We're going to get that over to them. A great thing with when you're going through all the value of what we offer to our clients is to say to them, this is what we do. Because what they don't know is if they're like, oh, I don't really want to do that, but I just would like you to write, like, I'm just going to go through the listing agent and have them write the offer for me. Was a listing agent, and if I'm writing an offer for somebody out in the public and they're not my client, I have to remain neutral because my fiduciary is to my seller. And I'm asking, okay, so you want to represent yourself? That's fine. Out of curiosity, what title company are you using? Great. And your pre-approval letter is from who? Oh, okay. And what does that mean? Did they go through like what that looks like for how much you need to have down? Great. And so so you know who to send that to when we go under contract? Great. They're like, what? I don't know how to do all this. I thought you were going to do it for me. Oh, I represent the seller. Did you need representation? See where I'm going with this? I know I just kind of got off track a little bit, but when we're talking to buyers about the value, this stuff seems like checklist items to us because we know what to do. It is not checklist items to the public. They're like, use for title, huh? I don't know what to do with a lender. What got to get like a home inspector? Who do you recommend? Oh, did you need recommendations for that? They need us. They need us. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to receive and review and read the title commitment. That's number 26. Review the title commitment, please, with them. Highlight any concerns that you might have on it. Understand what that looks like. Title commitment. We don't just send it over and go, oh, title commitment. Understand what that is. Understand what concerns could be there. Easements, all the things that might not be known until you run title. Okay. Number 27, just as you would your buyers, contact them every Friday, you're going to want to make sure you contact the lender weekly. How are things going? Where are we at in the process? Are we in underwriting? How did the appraisal come back? What documents are you waiting on for my buyer? I'm an advocate. I'm working with you. You're part of my team for this transaction. You're going to hear from me weekly. And they're going to hear from me weekly before my buyer hears from me. Because when I talk to my buyer, I want my buyer to know that I've been in contact with the lender, that we're working simultaneously to get this taken care of for them. I don't want my buyer to feel any stress at all. I want them to feel like they are in great hands. And so I'm going to have those conversations with the lender, the title company, everyone that's involved in the process before I even pick up the phone and call my buyer on Friday to let them know what's going on. They're like, dang, she's on it. Yeah, my job. It's how I earn my compensation. Okay. All right. Then you're also going to relay any final approval of the buyer's loan application to the seller, to the listing agent. Okay. By the way, if you don't know this, all of your communication to the seller goes to the listing agent, not you. Okay. All right. So that's going to be like the loan process. Now we're going to get into the home inspections. Okay. So home inspections, like I'm going to coordinate professional home inspections with the seller. That's 29. Professional home inspection with the seller, the listing agent. I'm going to coordinate that. I'm going to review the report with the buyer. Now, what I do here is I will tell you up front, I don't attend all the home inspections. No way. Not happening. work with people I really trust. I very much trust my allied resources to do their job. I don't need to follow my inspector around in my heels and my nice clothes and for 3 hours hear everything in the home. That is not the best use of my time as a professional. I trust other professionals. So what I will do is I will meet the home buyer at the house and I will introduce the buyer and the inspector. I'll introduce them. And then because I want my buyers to attend. By the way, my home inspectors are also affiliates of my board, so they are just fine to be in a home. They have access to all of our key boxes and everything, right? So I am explaining this to the buyer. I very much trust them. I'm also walking in, and when I go to the home inspection, I'm saying to the buyer, this is not going to be a warm and fuzzy day. The home inspector's job is to find out everything that's wrong with the house, not everything that's wonderful about the house that we already know about. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for the major things. Anything else is what's going to be called like a honey-do list. Okay. Like there's a ding in the siding. Great. The handle on the dishwasher. Great. No problem. Okay. Honey-do list items. But if they're not there at the home inspection, everything on the inspection report looks equal. It's not. So I want them to walk it with with my home inspector. I want them to really understand what the home is all about. Then what I say to them is, when you get your report from the home inspector, I have my home inspector copy me on the report as well. I will go through it thoroughly with a fine-tooth comb. I have seen hundreds of inspection reports. I know exactly what to look for. Give me 24 hours, depending on my time frame of what my home inspection contingency is. And I will call you afterwards once I've had a minute to go through it, and we'll discuss. Okay. Now, when I call my buyer and I'm asking them how inspections went, I am not saying, oh my gosh, I saw the roof only has 2 years left of it and it's peeling and da 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 da. We're gonna have to ask for that. You need a whole new roof, blah 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 blah. No. I'm remaining neutral. I'm staying professional. I'm not getting emotionally involved. I had a chance to look at the report. Overall, there's some really beautiful things about this home. Out of curiosity, do you have any concerns? And then I'm quiet. Why? Because a new roof to some people means a case of beer and a weekend with their buddies. A new roof to someone else means $20,000. A new furnace to somebody means, oh my gosh, that's like 7-8 grand. To another buyer, it's no problem. My dad is an HVAC guy. We're good. Not every buyer is created equal. Not every concern is going to be the same as yours. So ask them and then work through the negotiating on that. Make sense? It's also really important, and I think it was Ethel, I believe you're the one that asked for sellers. This is a huge perk of having a buyer agent on the transaction. Because if you've ever tried to negotiate for yourself, it is highly emotional. I don't, as a listing agent, want to cooperate with a very highly emotional buyer when they're trying to negotiate repairs on their behalf. What a nightmare. I want to work with an agent who knows what they're doing, knows how to properly negotiate with me, really understands what this looks like and what writing an addendum to my contract means. I don't want a highly emotional buyer. This is just fix everything. This is the list. I need it all repaired and da 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 da. Great. Then I'm actually saying to them, if they're not represented, I want you to go back to the purchase agreement and I want you to look at this page and this number. And I want you to review with me what that looks like. Now, I just want to make sure that we understand if we write an addendum to our purchase agreement, that essentially puts us out of contract until the seller agrees. The seller can agree to all of your requests. The seller can negotiate with us on your request, or they can sign it. But until they sign it, we are officially out of contract. Well, what does that mean? Could someone else take it? Possibly. At that point, they can go back to the other buyers that were interested and see if that's a deal breaker. I want to work with an agent on that. I don't want to work with someone who's overly emotional about it. And I say that with love because I have tried to negotiate things on my behalf and it's horrible. I'm like, I need to hire a professional to do this. And I'm a professional in this, right? Like, I hate selling my own properties because it's emotional. I'm the buyer, I'm the seller. I want someone to do that for me. Keep it keep it professional. So I say that with love because we're just human and we have emotion, but it's our job to be the one to keep that calm. Okay. Review the report with the buyer. Provide the buyer with guidance on any potential issues discovered during the home inspection. Yes, we do want to make them aware of the issues and bring it to their attention in the report, but we don't want to be emotional about it and be like, "Get this done." We want to ask what it means to them. Okay. Recommend and assist buyers with identifying any other further inspections that might be needed, such as like termite or well and septic or mold, anything like that. But it's going to be up to us to make those recommendations. Number 33 is we're going to negotiate with the seller on behalf of any repairs, just like what we talked about. We're also going to draft up the addendum. We're going to recommend or assist buyers with identifying and negotiating any contractors that need to be done. If you do not have contractors, I highly recommend you find some that can work on your behalf. Okay. Have some vendors in your back pocket. Have an electrician. Have a foundation specialist. Have a plumber. Have a contractor. Have those people in your back pocket so you can call and say, hey, this was found in the inspection. Could you please give me a quote so we know that what we're looking for in our negotiations? You really want to make sure that you're in contact with these people. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to negotiate any repairs that might be needed. Okay. After the inspection, you move on to the appraisal. Number 37, you're going to confirm the appraisal scheduled with the lender. Yes, please confirm that. Don't just assume. In fact, I always will say, especially if it's a short inspection contingency, I'll let the lender know, hey, this is a really short inspection contingency. You'll hear from me immediately after once we're done, and I'll have you go ahead and order the appraisal. Okay. Follow up on it. Understand how long it might take. Find out when the deadline is. See what that looks like. And then 39, assist buyers in understanding the results of it and how it could impact them. Okay. If you're not sure, like celebrate if it comes back higher and they're walking into their closing with equity. If it comes in lower, explain to them what that looks like and how negotiating can look like that with the seller and what they're going to have to ask for. Okay. Closing preparation, coordinate closing process with them, the seller agent, the title company, and the lender. This is on us. If you have a transaction coordinator, wonderful. They will do this for you, but your buyer is looking at you to do that. Okay. Either you to, or you to be able to handle that. Assist in solving any title problems. Okay. Please just do not assume that title is clear. They're going to contact you if there's like a second mortgage or something like that and they find like a lien that you didn't know about and all of a sudden like the seller has to bring like a ton of cash to close and it's not going to be able to happen. That's something you're going to be aware of, but really understand how to look at title work. All right. Boundary disputes, easements, really like know and verify that the information that the listing agent has put in there is what you're looking at. Okay. Then you're going to assist in solving any of the problems. Schedule, if applicable, you're going to then want to schedule your walkthrough with the buyers. And make sure that if there's possession at closing, that you are walking through with your buyers what the condition of the home is to be in when you close. Some of our purchase agreements on this are very vague, mine being one of them. Room swept clean, all debris cleared out. Okay. Room swept clean is not the same to everybody. It's kind of like, cleaning my son's bathroom. I'm like, oh, okay, your version of clean and my version of clean are not the same. Okay. Same thing for sellers. You have to know that. So it's really important that we have this conversation with our buyers, because I don't want to be on the other end getting a phone call from my buyer. Oh my gosh, the house is a mess and they left this and they did that. Da, da, da. Right. It's up to us to make sure that we're doing that. Okay. So conduct the final walkthrough if applicable. Okay. Research like all the tax, HOA, and utilities. So a lot of our HOAs they're gonna have to apply for that. They're gonna have like a payment that's gonna make sure we're gonna want to make sure that it's on the title, like a buy-in fee. You're also gonna want to make sure that you have a utility list. You're gonna let your buyer know these are the utilities and how do we get those in our name and when do we get them in our name, right? If occupancy is after closing, we're gonna want to coordinate that with the listing agent for the utilities. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to request the final closing figures from the closing agent, like the title company typically, or if you're an attorney state, it could be the attorney. You're going to request those. You're not going to just send it over and say, line 33 is what you're going to be what you're going to need to bring to closing. Please look at it, go through it with them. If nothing else, give them a call and say, hey, I'm going to send you over this right now. And I would love to go over it with you to make sure that we're on the same page. I do not want surprises at the closing table. I do not want a buyer calling me or being at the closing with me across the table saying, we didn't know about this fee. We didn't know that this was in here. We didn't know we would be responsible for that. Don't assume that title and your lender are on it. Be the communicator. Okay. Receive and carefully review the closing figures to ensure accuracy. Number 46, review all closing documents for errors. 47, have a no surprise closing. 48, coordinate the buyer's receipt of the keys. I know some of you will send your buyers, like all of their boxes and they're branded, or you'll order pizzas for what moving day, right? Or you'll meet them there and you'll do something special. Maybe you'll go to the home before closing day and you'll leave a bottle of champagne and flowers so when they walk in, it's there. Right. So do something like coordinate the buyer's receipt of the keys. And if you go over and above, a beautiful thing. Okay. Number 49, coordinate possession. If it's not at closing. And number 50, I have mine, throw a house party, a housewarming party. Okay. Why do I throw a housewarming party? I offer all of my buyers a housewarming party. Not all of them take me up on it. Many of them do. Now, in my consultation, I'm talking about my value that I give them. I'm also letting them know that I offer every single one of my buyers a housewarming party. Okay. In my housewarming party, by the way, if you don't have it, send me a message, send me an email, let me know. I want your housewarming party playbook. I will send it to you. It is a step-by-step playbook. Okay. Every buyer is offered a housewarming party. My thing is I will take a percentage of what my commission is, and I will allocate those dollars to the party. Okay. Josh, I'm going to ask you, I see you're on, to make sure you get these emails of the housewarming party, please. If you could do that for me, that would be appreciated. I see quite a few are putting them in there. So if you want the housewarming playbook, I'm going to have Josh get those emails from you and send them to you. Housewarming party. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give every buyer that I work with a year to throw it. A year. Okay. Because what happens is sometimes they'll buy a house in the summer or in the winter and they've got a pool and they want to have a pool party. Great. Sometimes they'll want to get in and they'll want to do like renovations or like, certain things to the house. They want to have everybody over then. Fantastic. I'm going to give you a year. Okay. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to coordinate, and every single person that they invite, I'm going to get their list from them. You will get this playbook, so you don't need to worry about it. If you want the playbook, I got you. Okay. I'm going to get their list. On that list, they're going to give me their emails, phone numbers, addresses. I'm sending them an evite. I'm sending them a mail and an invitation in the mail. I've got my caterer all set up. I have just serviced these buyers so well. They are a raving fan. They are a forever client. Whether it took me 6 months to get to the closing table with them, that is 6 months of me being in contact with them a minimum of once a week and out with them. Like I say to my clients, if I'm not like invited to your Christmas, I did something wrong, right? Like we should be that close. They're raving fans by this time. I'm throwing a housewarming party. Why? Well, it's twofold. They only have to get the house ready to show once, and it's an expense that they don't have to pay for because I'm going to have it catered. And two, they're introducing me to everyone in their sphere of influence. If I have sent them an email with an invite, then I have sent them something in the mail, an invite. Then I've called them to confirm their RSVP and let them know how excited I am to meet them. Then I'm meeting them in person, shaking their hand, getting to know them. And then I'm writing them a thank you card afterwards. You think I might get a couple clients out of that? Talk about building your database off referral and repeat business. So number 50, the grand is I throw a housewarming party. Now, I will say, sometimes people will say, I just want to do like a small dinner party. In fact, like the higher end clients that I have typically like to do that. That's fine. No problem. Whatever they want. I don't care if they invite 4 people or 400. I don't. So a lot of times what I'll do, so if I have like a $200,000 house, I'll usually set about a $200 food for catering budget for food. Okay. How do I do that? Well, I work with my caterer and I say, okay, like this is a first time home buyer. They're younger. They've got their buddies. They want to have a party when the game is on. Let's do like a tailgate type thing. What kind of appetizers and munchies can you get in this budget for this many people? Perfect. I've got a high end client. They bought $1 million home. My budget for them is $1,000. They're going to have a dinner party with 3 other couples. I'm going to have 8 people total. What can we put together that's going to be really nice and, maybe wine and the whole shebang? Doesn't matter to me. I don't care. But I'm going to work with a caterer and my caterer is going to be consistent and I'm going to work with them. Make sense? So we just went through the whole process of how we add value to buyers. Do you think that you can easily say this in a consultation once you have the meeting with them of the value that you're giving them and how you're earning your compensation? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, a couple things. Dialogue with sellers. Do you also do closing gifts? I'll do a small closing gift, like flowers or something like that. So I don't show up to the closing empty handed, but they know that my closing gift to them from the very first meeting with me is that I offer a housewarming party. And I'm talking about it as I'm showing homes. Oh, this is a pool, so we'd have to do the housewarming party in July. That kind of thing. I'm reminding them. So, yeah, I'll do something. If they don't want it, I'm okay with that too. No problem. Then they'll get something from me. But I am of the belief, again, from the very beginning here, I give so much value that they want to be in my club, right? I'm not begging them. It's just what I do. They want to. They want to be here. So a couple things I want to talk about. I want to get into are there any questions on the 50 ways that we add value to a buyer before I move forward? Just making sure playbook. What's the percentage you allocate for the housewarming? Just out of curiosity. Do you also do okay? Percentage. So the Jen, I went through 50. You know what? Now that I've been asked for that a few times, I'm going to go ahead. You'll get a follow-up email with me from me anyway. Because of we'll get the recording sent to you. So I'll outline them for you in that email. Okay. So if you haven't gotten any emails from me, look for an email. It might be in your junk, but I will outline them for you, all 50. Okay. I really encourage you to put these in your buyer presentation along with your value proposition and what you're going to do to go over and above for them. They will ask you to have you work for them with this information. Okay. So I'll give you a brief 50. The dialogue with sellers. Dialogue with sellers. Okay. Our conversations are changing a little bit with sellers. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on here, but I do want to address it because I know that that's a concern. All right. Now, same thing when you're with the seller. You're showing them the value of what you're going to do in order to sell their home, how you're marketing it, who you're talking to. Okay. I'm hoping that by me showing you what value you bring as a buyer's agent, that it makes the conversation a little bit easier with the sellers of what a buyer's agent will do and why it benefits a seller to pay them to pay a buyer's agent, right? To have cooperation. All right. So a dialogue with a seller could look something like this. For all of the services that we provide, this is what we charge. But let's talk about offering compensation to the brokerage that brings the buyer. Now, I want you to say this is merely a suggestion. I say merely a recommendation. This is merely a recommendation. But they trust me. Professionals make recommendations. In our marketplace, most of the buyers that we have do not have the additional funds at the closing to compensate their brokerage. And lenders will not allow them to add it to the purchase price. However, they will allow them to include it in the purchase price. In fact, whether the public knew this or not, that's how it's always typically been. What they pay for the home is a play with numbers at the closing table. Most buyers would rather have it be part of their transaction than have to pay it out of pocket at closing. Because to a seller, what matters most to them? What they net at the closing. Now, how am I going to ensure you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, or whatever it is, that I'm going to make sure that you're netting the most at closing? Can we agree that this is a numbers game? That sales is a supply and demand thing. I have to be able to tell enough people about your home in order to get them into the house. Do you believe that we will get more buyers looking at your home if we charge them to walk in the door? or if we pay them to walk in the door? Where are we going to have the better turnout? Right? Do you believe this is a numbers game? I have to get this message out about your home and market heavily. And I will do that. And I am committed. Out of curiosity, do you believe I will be able to get more people walking through your home if I am paying them to walk through or if I am charging them to walk through? Which one? Okay. Offering a cooperating compensation makes the seller's property more attractive. Period. And if we are offering a compensation, we will get more people through the door. And the more people that we can get through the door, the more people that we can get to see the inside of the home, the chances are the more offers we will receive. The better offers we will receive. The other part of that, of why I want somebody else on the other transaction, is because very serious buyers work with a realtor. I don't want looky-loos calling and seeing the house. I don't want my phone blowing up and having people ask me to represent them when my fiduciary responsibility is to you. The best thing we can do to make sure that we get to the closing table with ease is to keep it as emotionally leveled as possible. If I am working with somebody who does not have representation and they're representing themselves, a highly emotional transaction can kill the deal. Period. Okay. The numbers game. Does that make sense? Does that help with sellers by chance? Yeah. Now, whether or not they offer it is totally up to them. But you've done your due diligence of letting them know what's going to get more buyers through their door. Okay. You're there to educate them. You're there to let them know the risk and the reward of everything that they do. And of course, we're going to encourage our sellers to offer compensation. I absolutely am. Why? Because I want to sell my seller's house for the most amount of money as possible. And I know that by doing that, I have to make their home attractive to buyers. How do I do that? I say, I would love to have a cooperating agent on the other side. We understand it's a play with the numbers at the closing table. We'll put that into the price of the home, not out of pocket for the buyer at the end. Does not change market value, by the way. They don't get to go, oh, okay, well, then we'll just go like $20,000 above to pay for the compensation. No, but chances are you're going to get more buyers in. And as a salesperson, you understand the more people you get in the door, the better it is for your seller. Does that make sense? Helpful? Good. Okay. Now, I will send you, I know a lot of you have sent over the you want the housewarming playbook. I will send you the 50 in that email as well, the follow-up email. So give me a little bit of time. And then with the recording as well. If you still have questions, if you are still, wanting more information on this, I always offer, again, this is just of the belief, right? I want to offer more value. I'm here to offer value. I will give $1 million in value. Okay. If you choose to, I would love to have a one-on-one conversation with you, complimentary. It is not a sales call. It is not to get you into my program. I am of the belief if I offer you enough value and you want to be in my program, you will ask me to join my program. It's okay. But I would love to offer you a one-on-one. Okay. And at that time, we can discuss your fears, what this looks like for you, come up with some solutions, come up with some great action steps, and hopefully you get value out of that. All right. It will not be a sales call. Those of you that are interested in my programs, my website is brookepashier.com. I do offer, it's called Break Free, and it's also called, there's another one called Ascend. Break Free is a 6-month program. I work with my clients for 6 months. I am of the very much belief that we need to spend 6 months together in order to really have you have that transformation, have that awareness. Okay. The reason I work with you for 6 months is, I'm just going to say this. I mentioned this in the beginning. Until we change who we identify as, nothing changes. So I work with you on identity first. I work with you on mindset first. Because if we have a mindset of an agent who is broke, broken, busy, can't do this, it's all done, any system, any step, any process you get means nothing until you identify as the agent who is already successful, until you already identify as the person who has the business that you desire. Of course, we talk about processes and market and all the things, but we work on, it was the one thing that for years was missing from me in my business, coaching, until I went and I started talking to mindset coaches, spiritual coaches, and I realized the reason I wasn't having the quantum leaps or the success that I desired is simply because of who I identified as. The story I was telling myself up here, it didn't matter what they told me to do. It didn't matter what I did. It mattered who I was when I was doing it. So I work with you for a very long time on that. Okay, so there's 2 programs, Break Free, that's a 6-month program, and then there's also Ascend, which is also a 6-month program, but you get 12 one-on-ones in there as well. So we meet twice a week. First one is a session of coaching and teaching. Second one is an embodiment session where we actually talk about the implementation and how we're moving towards doing the work. Okay, but it all starts with the work inner first. So if you're interested, I would love to hear from you if you have more questions on that. If not, take me up on the one-on-one. It's complimentary. It's so I can add value to you. It's not a sales call. Let me give you the gift. I would be honored. Okay. Look for the follow-up email from me. I am so grateful to have all of you on here. It has been an honor to share this with you. I hope I was able to add value, and I hope that in turn you go back and you give all your buyers, sellers, and the public and your community value as well, and understand that it will always come back. It will always come back. Okay? Wonderful. Oh, thank you. I love your love. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. All right. If anyone needs anything, I'm always here. I can't wait to talk to each of you individually. Have a wonderful day and go add a ton of value to everybody. All right. Bye-bye.